Most guys walk into a dealership, see that sticker, and walk right back out. $500,000, I get it. I damn near did the same thing. But here's what my dealer never told me, and what your dealer probably hasn't told you either. That $500,000 machine, when you buy it the right way, the IRS actually helps you pay for it, and then it starts cutting you a check on top of that. I've been farming outside Salina, Kansas for 22 years. And this right here is the thing I wish somebody had sat me down and explained on day one. So that's exactly what I'm doing for you today. No fluff, just real numbers. Let's go. Now, before anything else, let me tell you who this is for. If you're running anywhere from 1,500 to 6,000 acres, if you're doing your own fieldwork or thinking about bringing it in-house, and if you're tired of watching your margin disappear into contracted labor and custom operators every single season, this conversation is for you. Because here's the thing nobody talks about at the coffee shop. The guys who are actually building wealth in agriculture right now. They stopped thinking about equipment as an expense a long time ago. They think about it as infrastructure, as an income tool, as a tax strategy sitting right there in their equipment shed. And once you see it that way, you can't unsee it. So let's start with the tax side, because this is where most farmers leave the most money on the table without even knowing it. There's a section in the US tax code called Section 179. And what it does is simple. If you purchase qualifying farm equipment and put it to work in your operation, you can deduct the full purchase price in the same year you buy it. Not depreciated over 7 years, not spread out over time, the full amount. Year 1. On a $500,000 tractor. That's a $500,000 deduction dropping straight onto your taxable income the same year you sign the papers. Now think about what that actually means for your operation. Say your farm is pulling in $750,000 in gross revenue this year. You've got seed costs, fertilizer, fuel, land payments, all your standard operating expenses. Maybe that brings your taxable income down to $350,000 before equipment. Now you drop a $500,000 Section 179 deduction on top of that. You've just zeroed out your federal tax liability, legally, using a machine you already needed. And I'm not talking about some gray area loophole here. This is written specifically into the tax code for farmers and small business owners. It's been there for decades. But here's why most guys miss it. They're not working with an ag-specific CPA. A regular accountant who does your neighbor's hardware store taxes. They're not going to find this for you. You need somebody who works with farm operations every single day. I made that switch 6 years ago. First year, my CPA found me $67,000 in tax savings I had no idea I was sitting on. That phone call cost me $400. You do that math. And real quick, if this is already hitting different for you. If you're already grabbing a pen, do me a favor right now. Hit that like button, share this video with another farmer who needs to hear this, and make sure you're subscribed to Farm Gear Pro, because this is exactly what we do every single week. Real numbers, real strategy, for US farm operators who are serious about their bottom line. All right, back to the money. Now let's talk about the income side. Because the tax benefit alone is powerful, but the real story is what happens when that machine starts working for you beyond your own ground. When I bought my 8R, I was farming right around 2,800 acres. That tractor, comfortable, can handle close to 5,000 acres a season, which means I had capacity sitting idle every single year. And idle capacity on a paid asset, that's just money sleeping in your shed. So I started making calls. Neighbors running 600, 800, maybe 200 acres who were hiring custom operators every spring and fall. Guys who were paying somebody they didn't know to drive equipment they didn't own, across ground they'd never seen before. I called them up and said, look, I know this county, I know these fields. I'm already running this direction anyway. Let me do your acres. I'll beat whatever that custom guy is charging you. Custom hire rates right now across the Corn Belt. We're talking $35 to $55 per acre, depending on the operation. Tillage, planting, application, it varies by job. But even at a conservative $40 flat, if I pick up 1,500 acres of neighbor ground on top of my own, that's $60,000 in additional revenue from a machine I already own, that's already paid for, that's already depreciated on paper. That right there is what passive income actually looks like on a working farm. It's not a rental property. It's not a stock portfolio. It's your iron, out earning, while you're home eating dinner with your family. But here's the part that really got me. And I guarantee most of you have never sat down and actually calculated this number. Before I owned this machine outright, I was spending somewhere between $55,000 and $65,000 every single year on contracted services. Custom operators, hired help, rented equipment during peak season crunch. Every dollar of that came straight off my margin, every single year. The day I brought this iron in-house, that $60,000 in annual operating expenses just disappeared. Didn't go somewhere else. Didn't get replaced by something new. It just stayed in my account, where it belongs. So now add it up. $60,000 in custom hire revenue from neighbor acres. $60,000 in eliminated operating expenses. That's $120,000 in real annual financial impact from one machine, against a $500,000 purchase price. You're looking at a 4 to 5 year payback on the asset before the tax benefit even touches it. Factor in Section 179, and your real after-tax break-even could compress down to 2 to 3 years. I don't know many places you can put $500,000 to work, in farming or anywhere else, and get it back that fast, with a hard asset that still holds value sitting right there in your shed. And here's the part that surprises people every single time I bring it up at the coffee shop. High-end iron holds its value. I know that sounds backwards when we're talking about depreciation, but stay with me here. What the IRS says your machine is worth on paper, and what a serious buyer in Nebraska or Iowa will actually write you a check for, those are two totally different numbers, and that gap works in your favor. A well-maintained John Deere 8R, a Case IH, AFS, Connect Magnum, a Fendt 1050 Vario, properly serviced, reasonable hours. These machines are still commanding 50 to 65 cents on the dollar in the used equipment market after 5 full years of hard operation. So walk through the full 5-year cycle with me. Year 1, you take the full Section 179 deduction, $500,000 off your taxable income. Done. Years 1 through 5, you're pulling in $60,000 a year in custom hire revenue. That's $300,000 over 5 seasons. Years 1 through 5, you've cut out $60,000 a year in operating expenses. Another $300,000 that stayed in your pocket instead of going to a custom operator. End of year 5, you sell the machine. Clean, maintained, full service history documented. You walk away with $275,000 to $325,000 cash in hand. Now add all of that up. It made you money. That $500,000 tractor didn't cost you $500,000. It generated more than it cost, across every angle you look at it from. That's not a feeling. That's not optimism. That's math on a napkin at your kitchen table. And that's exactly how the serious operators in this country build real generational wealth in agriculture. Not by avoiding big decisions, but by making big decisions smart. This is what Farm Gear Pro is about, every single week, not just what the machine does out in the field, but what it does for your cash flow, your tax position, your family's balance sheet 10 years from now. Because iron that doesn't make financial sense is just expensive iron. Here's the bottom line. Margins are tight. They've been tight. Input costs aren't going down. Land sure isn't getting cheaper. And the weather, well, we all know how that goes. The farmers who are still standing and still growing 10 years from now, they're not the ones who got lucky with rain. They're the ones who figured out how to make every single asset on their operation work harder, smarter, in every direction at once. A $500,000 tractor, bought right, structured right, worked right, is not a liability sitting in your shed. It's a revenue tool, a tax shelter, a labor replacement, and a long-term asset that holds real value when it's time to trade up. You just have to know how to use it that way, and now you do. Thanks for watching Farm Gear Pro. If you found this breakdown valuable, share it with a fellow farmer and comment below your thoughts on this topic. See you in the next one.